Assalamu alaikum. How are you today? Today I'm making a video from this new school where I just started teaching at this year in 2023. It's quite an advanced school. It's a private college that was funded and started by an American woman from Texas. So there's quite a bit of money here. And you can see that there's a whiteboard behind me. Um, there's also where is the projector now? There's a projector. You can see the projector hanging. And you can see it's quite a small classroom. There's not many desks in the classroom. Um, if you must look at the class list that I have, there's 25, 15, 14, 18 in a class. So it's quite small. And I have my own laptop that was given to me by the school. I have all the resources I can ask for. These drawers are full of stationery. I lack for nothing. Notepads, plastic, the kids. The kids who come to the school, they actually get everything. They start here at primary school and they work their way all the way up to grade 12. And they get their notebooks, they get textbooks, they get stationery, they even get school uniforms. Every year they get a new school uniform. They get bused to school, they get bused back home in the afternoon. They get a breakfast in the morning. They get a snack at around about 11 o'clock. And then they get lunch. Here at school, there's a massive kitchen that is catered and they get fed. So all that they have to do is they have to do their schoolwork. And these are the poorest of the poor. They get chosen based on their inability to go to a government school. And government schools, they are school fees and they are extremely a little inexpensive, but these children's parents can't even afford to send them to government schools. And it's working. It's actually quite nice being here. The one thing, though, that I find interesting is we are now, all the teachers are on a course to do 21st century. This is the book. You can see the name there. It says 21st century learning design. So it's all about moving away from the so-called old school fact-based learning. But the interesting thing that I find about this is it's a Microsoft product. So Microsoft, the computer company, which was owned by Bill Gates. Everybody knows about Bill Gates. This is his product or their product. So they're telling us how to learn in the 21st century. So it's all about the internet and how the internet is freely available and cell phones is freely available. And so how learning should be changed. And it's got a lot to do with changing definitions. If I must give you one example, the word innovation, which in my day, innovation meant new. That's what the word innovate means. They come up with a novel idea, novel meaning new. And that was how you got a PhD, for example, to come up with a new idea. So now with this new 21st century learning, the word innovate is being used and is being redefined to mean actually implementing your knowledge in the real world. That's called innovation. In fact, it says if you haven't implemented your knowledge in a real world situation, then you haven't innovated. But if you have, then you've innovated. That's just one example. So I don't know, this just seems to be another one of those newfangled ideas, which I know most of the teachers won't implement. I'm just going through the motions and learning it as a comparative way of teaching. Some of the ideas I have to implement because I have a lot of resources. The kids all have laptops. And so um, the way that they learn and the fact that they have a number of other resources like online facilities and online tuition and exercise programs, it means that my teaching design has to be adapted to that. But my basic teaching methodology obviously can't change. I mean, mathematics doesn't lend itself to a lot of the topics that's discussed here, not in the way that it's discussed. Mathematics is very fixed and clear cut, and there's no ambiguity and openness and ways to do all kinds of different things and reinterpret things. Mathematics, in a nutshell, is about learning how to do things, and then obviously you do apply to real world situations, but it's always been like that. So it's not as if a change must be made there. Be that as it may, I'm quite interested in doing this course and seeing how it can be implemented, because here and there I can see the whole computerized uh, teaching, with me having a laptop and the kids having laptops and them having access to even YouTube videos, for example. It changes the whole way of designing teaching. And I've never had this opportunity before, so I'm actually enjoying it, even though I'm still learning about 21st century design. But as a side note, I must add here that Bill Gates, the original owner, the one who started Microsoft, I used to send him emails to his personal email way back in the 1980s. Even John McAfee of McAfee and Associates, the virus guy. Those of you who only came in now, you'll just know, maybe you know the name McAfee, but McAfee is named after John McAfee. I used to send him emails with viruses attached. I used to send it to him. And as an IT lecturer at the time, I never had the time to still draw up, design a program to store viruses, although I knew they used to look at the headers of the virus to identify the viruses. So it was just a matter of setting up a database and adding to the database. But instead of doing that, when I found a new virus, I used to examine the header, check that it's a new virus, and then email it to John McAfee, to his own personal email address. And the impression I got at the time was that he was working in a room in his house, which he probably was, before he got so big and humongous, and he obviously became John McAfee, McAfee and Associates. So I find it a bit ironic that Microsoft Corporation is now telling us how to teach in the 21st century. Very, very interesting. I actually see this in a far more holistic way than what I have in front of me on paper. But I don't think that I should comment about that now on a public platform like this. Um, in terms of what is happening at the school, this is the way to go. And it's something that should actually be done together with all the facilities that are available at the school. So it would be interesting to see whether this whole emphasis on 21st century learning will actually pan out and will take off amongst the teachers, because the teachers have to cooperate. And this 21st century learning has been around for a long time. Even if I recall, it actually came about right at the end of the 20th century, in the late 1990s, when Kader as the Minister of Education at the time, he mentioned that education needs to change from rote learning, and he actually mentioned those words, rote learning, to learning with understanding. And for those of you who tried it, we all know what happened there. And starting off with this year, it looks a lot like that as well. I'm not saying it's about rote learning, but it is about old school versus new school. And there are a lot of new situations amongst the students today where they have access to the internet, and so the whole fact-based learning, which was um, pedantic, for search of a better word, back then, where kids learned facts and regurgitated them, that hasn't um, panned out to be anything. Um, but the one thing that we did learn back then was about lifelong learning and about not learning for money or to have a good job. I personally, I think that is something that is far more important than any other learning methodology. And the fact that learning and teaching, and especially the motivation of parents who are motivated and who stand behind their students, all that they are interested in is their child getting a better job through education so that they can earn more money, because that's what they see happening around them. And it's possible to teach a child to learn, just learn, not teach a child to learn things in order to get a good job to make money. It's the focus and the outcome that is important. And if we can succeed in just simply getting our children to learn, then they will do that for their entire lives, from the cradle to the grave. Salaam alaikum.